You see, you say that, but we'll say something stupid. We can't help
Yeah.
ourselves. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't say something stupid. I mean, let's face it, most of the things that come out of my mouth are generally stupid anyway.
There's no such thing as a stupid answer or a stupid question.
No. That's no such thing. There is such a thing as a stupid answer. I think you'll find there's no such thing as a stupid question.
Correct.
Yes, well, let's just hope that... mind you...
2 sniffs of the whiskey and I'm off.
Well, I haven't drunk enough yet, but I can't drink too much. Have I told you what I'm doing tomorrow morning?
No.
I've got to be up at the crack of dawn.
Oh.
I've got to be up at dawn's crack. In fact, before dawn's crack.
I don't
Because
know who Dawn is.
nobody needs to know who Dawn is.
Morning, boys. Morning, Dawn.
By gum, that's the last crack I wanted to see at this time of day. Welcome to the Graphters podcast. No, I've got to be up at the crack of dawn. I'm taking Molly and one of her best mates, Hannah, to Chesterfield train station because they're going to Disneyland Paris.
Oh, I'm not jealous.
I'm so jealous.
But I am.
I love it there. Have you been?
Not to Disneyland. No, but I have been to Paris.
It's Disneyland Paris. I've been twice. I went with Alex and the girls when they were young, and then Alex took me for my 30th birthday present when we were still... I think we were we engaged? I think we were engaged then. Yeah. Oh, soon to be married.
Mm.
And
Malaga was lovely as well.
A life of absolute joy ever since.
Because last podcast we were talking about, I was off to Malaga for a short break, and
can you speak up a bit, John?
I was saying
that's better. Can you move the mic a bit closer to you, or you a bit closer to the mic, or something?
This 3-screen setup doesn't help my microphone placement, I must admit, and I have got a direct.
Hang on, sorry. Are you telling me that you can't get to your mic because of your 3 monitors?
3 floating monitors, yes.
Right, well, float one of the out the way so your mic is closer to your face.
Yeah. Last podcast, I think I was just about to go for a short city break, and that was absolutely brilliant, well needed. And if anybody gets a chance, go to Malaga because it is really totally different.
Where is Malaga?
It's the city airport for the Costa del Sol.
Ah.
So most people fly to Malaga, and then they drive off somewhere.
Hotel?
No, we stayed in an apartment.
Oh.
We found out that the apartment building, the penthouse of the building, had a special owner, which was Antonio Banderas.
No way.
Yes, way. So there was a little bit of, shall we sit on the balcony tonight? You can't see if you look up anyway, but it was very nice. Very nice.
Did somebody say, "Are you Shrek?" And did you say, "For you, baby, I could be"?
It was good. Yeah, it was good. And the biggest problem was it was just a little bit tiring with the flights.
Sounds like you're quite tired. Full stop, actually, John. You dirty stop out. That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
We were out at some friends last night. I'll give the Lloyds a shout out because they actually put the Graphters podcast on their Spotify list last night.
Did they? They were playing it last night.
They played it, and it's coming around surround. We sound great. Well, you sound great on surround sound. I was cringing into a cushion, I think, at that point.
That's just because the reason why I come across louder is because I am John. In every sense, not just in the proximity of a microphone. Probably because I've only got one monitor. Because unlike you, I only need one. There is no requirement for any more than one monitor.
I've never liked working at 4K resolution in 4K resolution screens. I find that
I haven't got a 4K screen.
No, I know, but if I didn't have the 3 monitors, I would have a 4K monitor screen, and then it would be one of those curved monstrosities that every gamer wants to have. I just like working, just generally at 1920. It's enough.
Do you mean, what's 1920 times 3?
Well, yeah.
Whatever that is, 1920 times 3 by 1080.
By 1080.
Right. Shall we start
lovely.
this debacle?
Let's do it.
Shall we
Get
stop
in.
talking and actually then do some proper talking?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's
Okay.
do that.
I tell you what, you know what? Sod you, I'm starting. Hello, John.
Hello, Gary.
How are you doing, my friend?
Little tired
Yeah.
from an Easter weekend that's been full
Nice.
on.
Nothing
How about
wrong
you?
with a bit of... Yeah, I'm okay. I'm a bit tired, but because we got up stupid early this morning to take the dog up. Yes, I'm talking about the dog again. To take the dog up onto Taxel Moor, not far from where we live, so we could see in the sunrise. So as we were going higher, we noticed the fog was getting thicker. I don't mean cloud. I mean literally fog everywhere.
You walked into a cloud.
We walked into a fog bank and they basically covered everything. And then we sat there on a couple of plastic bags, sipping black coffee out of 2 children's plastic cups. So I could pour it out of this little pour it out of a proper coffee cup.
Yeah.
Like the ones you get from other coffee shops are available, Costa. And eating a croissant that we'd peeled out of a plastic tub while Ginny was desperately trying to get her head into the plastic tub to eat the croissants. And we're meant to be looking at the sunrise, which we actually turned out to be the mist getting a little bit more goldy.
Oh.
But actually it was really nice. And then we had a lovely walk. In fact, we did about 8 miles in the end, and Ginny's been suitably tired, so that's pretty good. So, and then the other part that I actually tidied up the inside of my garage. That's how boring I have become at the weekends.
I don't think I was up for much. There was no way I was driving before 2 p.m.
What time? No, probably not. What time did you get into bed? Did you say?
It's
What time did you get home, John? John, do you remember getting home?
These sort of questions are really irrelevant on a podcast, but they are very good, much fun. He's
not answering because he does not remember.
I do not remember getting home. I do remember it was a fantastic night, and I do.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. And as long as there's photographic evidence to prove it, then
at least 2 videos somewhere.
That's good. I'll wait for the next one. But apart from that, so work's been good, I'm guessing.
Yeah, works really good. 2 weeks to go to FMX.
Yes.
And I can announce that I'm a speaker. Oh my days.
Terrifying.
I must admit, the butterflies have started to circle around the lower
surprised.
colon.
Yeah. What exactly is your talk going to be about then?
We are talking about is education ready for technology's advancements, and how some tips to stay current on that, how that can stay current for you.
Yeah.
So how do you keep your curriculum current? How do you keep your technology pipeline current? And the onset of USD, which was described to me this week. If HTML made the internet, then USD kind of makes the metaverse, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
If you stop thinking about it as a file format and start thinking about it as the tracks that everything runs on.
Yeah, it's like an interchange, I guess.
Just everything is interconnected, and obviously there's things happening with Adobe and Autodesk doing some crazy stuff with Material X. That's happening, which sounds fantastic. And I think that's interesting. People are starting to realise that, and we'll get into this, I think, on this podcast, and let's see how we explode the internet with this one. But as AI starts to eat into pipelines now, I think there's going to become a time when you're talking about the end product rather than the actual content creation package that it was made in. Nerfs are frighteningly accurate now.
They're wonderful.
Amazing.
As long as people understand that we're not talking about the yellow pellets, we're actually talking about...
Nerf guns,
If anybody... What does it stand for again? I forgot what it stands for.
Something radial fields.
Is it neural radio fields? No, it won't be that, will it? Neural radio fields.
It's a neural radiance field. There you go.
I was kind of right then.
Yeah. But it's not... I mean, you can export 3D geometry from it, which is this is a strange thing because ultimately it's a point cloud of information, but the information is color temperatures.
Yeah.
So, and as they overlap, they create a view around an object rather than the flat, HDR object that you're doing.
I remember seeing something a while ago on Corridor Crew, and Ren was talking about nerfs and how because he was trying to film, wasn't he? It was did you see this one?
I think I've seen a few of these now. I mean,
yeah, he was trying to film a silver ball, an HDR,
a radiance ball type thing.
Yeah, a radiance ball, on a table in their sort of like kitchen area. And every time he tried every other way, it just couldn't build it, couldn't do anything with it, because of course it's a lit surface, and the surface is purely just the creation of the light around it. So there's no form as such. You end up getting like concave crappiness all over the place. And then he repeated the process using Nerf, and he almost got a ball. But what he did get was when he moved around it, you get the reflection in the ball. I mean, just stunning. He did a shot. He actually did one with a frying pan, I think, and basically just carried on the camera, just when the camera went over it, and then used it.
Yeah,
and was able to.
So Epic,
bonkers.
Epic are working with Luma Labs, and they've brought a Nerf plugin that brings all this into Unreal Engine. Which, I mean, again, we're getting into the subject of digital twins, and I had a conversation with our CTO last week. About what we were talking about of the week before, about how AI is becoming this monster machine of crazy. Is my job going to be there? Yeah. And 20 years ago, when computer software was starting to evolve, and you ended up with tweening, and you ended up with keyframes, and you ended up with curves that could, change the in out, the ease in, the ease out, and all these things. The traditional animator's job changed. The tweening artist had to become a 3D or a 2D tweening artist, and I think where we're going to with AI potentially now is, as we were discussing before the intro, was you're going to have to learn some new skill sets, guys, and that then leads me to education. And hello, how long will it take you to write a course?
Well, it depends. Are you going to actually write it yourself, or get ChatGPT to do it for you?
Well, there is that. Yeah.
I mean, it is. It doesn't. Well, I say it doesn't worry me. I mean, it worries. I have mixed feelings about the whole thing, obviously, because as I'm still being a creative, in essence, I think about the role of all of my people, and all the things that my people do. And, we sit down there and we come up with ideas. And yes, we need reference, because you can't do anything without reference. Anyone who tries to do anything without reference, unless you're Ralph McQuarrie, I don't think you can do it. Unless you're Rakowski, I don't think you can do it. I think there's a lot of people out there who are very, very skilled, but everyone needs reference. Everybody needs reference. So you always use reference, and you find reference, and you go, right, I love this bit from that, and this bit from that, and this bit from that, and you can pick and choose exactly what you want. So when a piece of AI, you type in a piece of text, and then it chucks back 4 pictures at you in 20 seconds. That comes up with almost what you want. It gives you this startling beginning point. That was how, when I first saw it, that was what I saw, and I just thought, this is great. This is reference. This is creating reference that I can use. Wow. And then I started seeing the quality improve. And then I started seeing the quality improve even more. And then I started to think, hang on, how's all these people who are coming up with ideas, all these creators coming up with ideas for like agencies and whatnot, all of a sudden I just saw these jobs vanishing. And that made me think, all you need to be able to do to make a good piece of art that's for reference these days, or a style, is to just know what words to type into an engine. And it is, and it has become a little more so like that now. I've got a very good friend who actually I would like to get on it, and he just this week, because I was ranting a little bit about this whole AI thing, because I worry about it taking people's jobs, and Jim has been very heavily involved in looking into this and finding out more about it, because he also feels that we've got to know what's happening so we can be on top of it. I said, of course, it's just coming up to Easter. When I was talking to him, I said he has a pet rabbit called Ferrero.
Rocher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's
Love it.
It was named by somebody else, but Ferrero's it's now his. And he's had Ferrero for a while now, and he thinks the wordless rabbit, and I don't blame him. It's a lovely rabbit. And I said you should, and I just typed in, oh, why don't you put in a rabbit inside of a chocolate Easter egg? And it's it would be perfect, wouldn't it? Because it's like a bunny, Easter bunny, blah blah blah. So he went through the motions of showing me how he would go about creating this, so that he would actually get a rabbit that looked like Ferrero and in a chocolate egg. And some of it didn't work, some did work. Then he was like changing words and reevaluating how things would be, and he eventually created Ferrero. He actually created his actual rabbits, and this wasn't by putting in images and stuff. This is just by adjusting and adjusting and adjusting. He actually got Ferrero out of I think it was Midjourney. But the point is that he got there without drawing a single thing, and that's incredible and very frightening. And that's what worries me, is that the amount of people who will then be able to, without raising a pen, without touching a pencil, will end up... I know I'm ranting, but I really do feel this is really important, that we...
Yeah, it is.
That we understand... Have you seen Gen 1 AI?
Yes. So this is the animation software that works out where the pixels are and what type of movement's going on. So it does some motion tracking. It then extrapolates motion capture. It then puts that onto your rig and then drops your rig character over the top and creates a map plate from it. Wow.
Yeah. One of the things that I saw, which I thought was great, this guy's filmed himself or gotten some footage of someone, and it only does it in I think it's 75 frame chunks or whatever, 3-second chunks. And he's taken this bit of footage of someone going, doing some punches towards the camera, like some martial arts type of punches. And he's then broken it down into smaller segments. And he's taken the first frame as a screen grab, run it through image generation software with a theme, which is kind of like line art, anime style, or whatever. And then he's used that one image that he's built to actually be the guide for all of the other animation. So it's literally just... I was stunned by how good that was. And he was doing it in smaller chunks, and then they overlapped them by 75 frames or something. I think that's right, yeah. So maybe it was 900 frames and overlaps to 75. So he could combine them properly without it looking, stiff or stilted. And the quality was just numbing, and I'll be honest, I am very, very worried about this. The only thing I can think, there's only one thing that I can actually see, I'll be honest, where I think it might be useful, and that is for saving time, and it is not for animating, but it is more for things like in-betweening or post-processing. So someone does all the animation, or the keyframes of the animation, and back in the day you'd have someone who actually drew all those individual cells, and now you've got people who animate the whole lot. They have their shot, they animate the whole thing. Whereas if they had a way of saying, here's your key poses, here's our extremes, here's our reactions, here's everything that we do, bar the in-betweens, and then the AI can do all the in-betweens. That I'd be happy with.
The way that AI works, from my understanding, is it works off a very large data set bank. So if those data sets exist, then this should become it's all about training and learning. It's also worth remembering that everything you write into the engine is kept. So there have been instances, from what I gather, where people have been chucking whole chunks of code into this to create software or games or things like that. And of course, that means that that's now public source.
Yes.
You fed it in. So, I think people just using it to make their, there is no private stack. You can't have a private stack because the whole point of AI is it's a neural network of learning. That's what it does. I've just having a look at Midjourney now, and I noticed that you can't actually do any Midjourney stuff, or I can't anyway, without actually subscribing. Yeah. So this is the point where how do you monetize the money train? It will be interesting to see.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I know this has been a burning topic that we've had for a couple of months now, as it's been sort of slowly gathering and building pace. And last night, the friends of ours who we were out with, she's a teacher in senior leadership team, and they're extremely worried. And I was kind of like, well, these things will help you as a teacher. They'll be able to write your lesson plans. They will be able to take all of the information that needs to be on a lesson plan from a framework or a curriculum plan or a curriculum, qualification. And all those essential items will not get missed off your lesson plan. And then in the midst of all that, you can then write the stuff that you want to write about or how you want to deliver it. The greatest thing about it is you can just iterate. So you can get multiple versions of what you're doing.
Until you get one that you like, or one
that suits your style.
Or a couple that you could pick apart and combine to be another one. I just feel that I just worry. My biggest worry is the disillusion of actually creativity. Because the thing for me is that if people stop creating art because AI is doing it, the AI art then stays in the system, and that just keeps cycling back and forwards until the art that's being created has literally no more creativity because nothing else is being added into that stack. So it basically ends up just siphoning through the stuff that it's already done and using that as a base.
I think you're still going to find that there will be photographers, there'll be people uploading their own photographs to things like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. All of that gets added to the mix, and then you've got people that do their own artwork where they actually draw on things.
Yeah,
they actually physically do the paintings, the drawings, the artwork. I do think that this is just another accelerator. In my mind, this is just another accelerator, and there'll be a price to pay for that acceleration.
Yeah,
and right now it's kind of like, look at the internet. The internet has evolved. I mean, I remember we had dial-up modems. We had to schedule calls. There were only so many people that could send an email from a company and all this. And then it evolves and it gets bigger. And now you look at the data inloads that we have on a minute-by-minute basis, and the amount of information that's been inloaded at this very podcast, is inloading data into the system.
It means someone might create an AI version of me. That's a scary
Max Headroom. That's all I could say there.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah,
you've got the hair.
You too.
You got the hair. That's
I've only just got the hair. I tell you, it looks a lot thicker than it is. Look at that. Look at that. No one can see this. That's why. Yeah. That's why. So I tell you what. In audio podcasts, I look amazing.
To add some creative description, it's like a bantam's crest.
A bantam's crest on a very big bald egg.
Unlike mine, which is kind of like the beating sun of Sahara. Got quite a bit burnt. Software. I mean, Oliver, who should have been on tonight, and we will give you a little bit of a curse on. He's been doing some work recently with his wedding videography business using DaVinci Resolve, and he's found that there is now an AI sound plugin buried away inside there that actually enhances audio that's poor audio from poor microphones and turns it into studio grade recordings with some tweaks and bits and pieces. So it speeds everything up. That's it.
No, and that's fine. That's fine where it does that. But we need to slow down.
As Elon Musk keeps saying, yes. He even says. He says we've probably reached the point now of no return with AI, because it's out of the bag. So now is sort of maybe somebody needs to start writing the rules, the laws of robotics, just so that we don't end up. Quite apt that today I watched The Mandalorian, latest episode 22 of The Mandalorian.
I still haven't watched any of this series.
Well, I'll try not to spoil it, but there is a little bit of an issue with robots and the laws and things that But it's kind of like, wow. So more for about their programming. But
yeah. You see, But actually, if we're talking about robots in that show, to me, there's always been a fine line between the fact they already do have artificial intelligence, or just intelligence, and some do not.
Well, there's a scene in it where they're attending something, and they think that all the robots are bad in this place, and the robots actually turn around and go, "No, we really want to. We don't want to become unemployed. We are fearing that humans are going to start doing our jobs.
Really?
And that was kind of a okay, very good twist. Yeah.
Isn't that the point where they develop Skynet and take over the world, though? I'm sorry, I had to go there. I've got to stop doing that. Honestly, it's ridiculous. In my head, I just see the world coming to a huge end with me basically on the wrong end of a T101, you know? I know I'm overreacting. But it's just one of those things.
For me, I'd be more of is it Simon Pegg in World's End? That would be me.
Jumping over fences to get to the last pub.
We just want to be free to do what we want to do. We want to get loaded. We want to have a good time. That's what we're going to do. This is the way.
So say we all. Let's get them all in.
People are obviously going to be going, where have these two gone tonight?
Well, we're just not. I think what it is, we're just tired and jaded. We're not actually. I think what it is, I'm not tired and jaded. And
you're getting a bit cantankerous.
I'm turning into a really old fart. That's what it is. But that's
one
okay.
day, listeners, there will literally be a I don't believe it moment.
I am not about to do that. No, I'm not. I'm not that much of a grumpy old fart. So yeah, all sorts of things. I think you mentioned about Material X and USD, and I think you're right. There's so much stuff that's going on in that production side and how everything is going to charge. I mean, I remember very distinctly. I went from working in a games firm. Back in I think it was probably 94, 95, maybe a little bit later than that. And at the time, I thought, what am I going to do? The software I use, there's not a lot of people who use it. Turns out one of the companies that used it were working on the film Lost in Space. And as I say, it's the only film I've ever worked on, so that's why it's my only frame of reference. So please forgive me for repeating myself. But at the time, someone asked me, what's it like going from games to film? Mm-hmm. And I said, it's just a different resolution, really. It's the same different shape. And it sounds a little bit flippant, but the point was, at that particular juncture in time, there was becoming less of a difference between games and TV. Quality-wise, things were becoming very, very similar. It wasn't like, or even games and film and TV. So you'd see visual effects on film, and the stuff that was happening in games was becoming it was getting closer and closer to how things were done in film. So the actual moving from one side to the other was relatively simple. All I had to do was just basically render things bigger. That was it. The detail had to be the same, otherwise it was still look rubbish. So you still be modelling the same way. And the way we now have this blurring now between, everything, games, film, TV, and then the systems that we're using, which were designed for games initially, are now being used in shows like The Mandalorian and all this stuff. There's this huge coming together of everything, and I think the AI stuff, which is occurring at the same time, it is all going to be one huge USD mishmash.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking to some of our customers about how they're gearing up their storage for USD pipeline, and they already are. And 250,000 open files at any one time. What? So people have got to start thinking, especially in education, about where does your data sit? And I know that a lot of educators have gone. I don't want this to sound like it's a company sort of pitch, because it isn't. But a lot of educators have taken, since COVID, the option of cloud and OneDrive, believing that this will be something that is it's just what you've got and that's what you'll have to do. You are not going to create an enriched environment for tomorrow's workforce if you consistently give them no tools to work from, so that they need to be able to break things when they're learning, so that when they get to industry, and they'll probably still break things when they get to industry, but they will have already amassed a knowledge pool of, don't do that, that's stupid. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think that happens. I don't think I don't think that happens anywhere near enough with enough frequency. There are still some, we do say this. There are still some fabulous institutions out there that are investing like this, and they are. And it's not about how much money you spend; it's about where you spend your money, in what capacity and what infrastructure you create. You can't run things on 10-year-old networks. You just can't. You've got to, even if it's just create a very small place for that network to sit and live. And that's what you need, because with USD pipeline being more and more, obviously, Autodesk are fully native USD now, and it's all coming together. First one to say Blender, and we must be nearly 40 minutes in. Blender's not quite there yet, but its intention it will be fully USD.
Yeah.
So there. Again, it's not going to be the tool you use. It's going to be the app that you open your data in. That's all it will be.
Yeah, and that's. I think that's right. I think that's where the whole metaverse thing comes in again, isn't it? Again, really.
Because digital twins are going to be a thing. I mean, digital twins. Nerf at the moment. Okay, Nerf. What do we do, Gary, when we don't have polygons anymore, and we're just pushing radial points around?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, I asked Lee this question, and Lee and we sort of looked at me with this sort of like, exactly, mate, like look on his face, and I said, well, surely what will happen is we'll start teaching bloody traditional art again, and then you'll create a Nerf of something you've actually made, and you'll put that in the digital place.
You mean someone will go back to sculpting
some clay,
but then what about? All right, okay, fine. So say we're pushing around points, but that's the Nerf kind of stuff, yeah?
But that's the sort of stuff that's now being put into AI for cars to drive everywhere.
Right, yes. So the whole the Nerf is basically the environment.
Yeah, I mean, if you do any checks on...
but what's the car?
A transportation device around the environment.
Yeah, yes. No, I guess that. Yeah, that's kind
so
of...
was that too literal there?
Yeah, what I mean...
I fell into the trap.
No, what I mean is if the Nerf is basically... It's like something like living photographic LiDAR. Well, photogrammetry. Point-based system where the points are so close together that you don't actually need to have any polygons.
Because they're just radial overlaps.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So and then you've got the car itself, which has to be generated and has to be animated. That animated thing, or even if it's just like, if we're saying, further down the line, you are using Nerfs for, say, game environments. You've got a running character who's running through that environment that you are controlling if you're running in third person. So is that going to be Nerf? No.
Yeah, so we talked about Corridor Crew at the very beginning of this, and if you look at some of the things that they've been doing recently with Luma AI, so it's now possible. They actually, he creates in 30 minutes. Right, it's not probably quite 30 minutes, but he creates the shot from Inception where the city is mirrored on the top of itself from a drone footage and some handheld.
Oh yeah,
and he also talks about Nerfs being used to stabilize camera motion. So where you've got a really janky camera, you can actually just run those frames get run through the Nerf creations tool, creates a Nerf version of it, and you can reshoot your shot.
Yeah.
Take it from a different angle. There's no more F-Spy, Gary. You don't need to projection map anything. No. You're just using the radial fields, and you're getting everything.
Is it Luma who did just recently? Was it San Francisco? I can't remember. I've just seen recently. I think it's San Francisco. Well, it's a city, and somebody's driven through it, and they've nerfed the entire thing.
So this is that's Waymo. Waymo did that. They did a block nerf of San Francisco. So it's Waymo.com, and they are using camera cars to collect the data.
That's
it.
Here's
the thing.
The one.
Here's the thing. They can collect it at night, at day, and you can slide the different times over.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
It is. It's incredible. It's like GTA on acid.
Yeah, and I mean all of this is designed so that obviously the automated drive cars will be much more intelligent and have a much better understanding of the environment in which they sit from a GPS point of view and the location systems, but also what they're feeding back into the car. it's just going to be. You were saying about the game stuff. I mean, who's going to model a city anymore? You just go and grab it from one of these repositories.
Yeah.
And will we get to a point where we have a USD pipeline connection tool where you can actually just connect to the USD in the cloud and draw it into whatever app you're using?
Well, yes, I think that's probably, but I think that literally is the case, and that's exactly how it's going to be. Because everything, I mean, if theoretically, and you've said it, and at first I was kind of like, no, that's never going to happen. And then, but as time has gone by, I've just gone, actually, no, he's absolutely right. Is that at some point you won't need software on your machine. You will call down what you need as you need to.
You become a director.
You will then have everything will be accessible for like a period of time. You'll be. It's like every piece of software will be time rented. You will build what you need to build if you need to build anything, or you'll access the data pipes and anything that you need from that. You will then edit in the cloud. You will animate in the cloud. Where it goes to will be purely cloud-based. And these systems and all this placement of stuff is only going to go that way. I can't see anybody fundamentally 7 years from now, let's say, doing anything using a piece of software that is actually on the computer. The computer will literally just be a connection point to somewhere else.
Yeah, and I don't think you can. I don't think your computer will actually be under your desk anymore. It will be a device that's built into your monitor that just connects to the remote workstation wherever it is you're going to be.
Yeah,
and you'll rent time if you want to. If you want to be a gamer, you'll be renting the 8000 series of whatever it is the Nvidia cards are going to be. And you'll just play the game at the resolution it's meant to be played at.
Yes.
Done.
It'll be what Google were trying to do with their gaming platform that didn't work because it was the wrong time. What was it called?
It was the wrong time, and I can't remember that.
But that was only like a couple of years ago. Stadia.
Yes.
And that was what they were trying to do was just a bit too early, I think.
Well, as I've been saying to some of the students in some of the talks I've been doing, that was a not now moment or a not yet moment.
Yes.
And I think that maybe Google Lens, I think that was going to be one as well.
What? The fact that it was a wrong time moment.
It's a wrong time moment. Now we are getting to a point where I think AR technology is going to be required to actually live in this world. I mean, I was watching the film with what's the film where he's in a game, and it's the latest one.
Tron.
No, it's the guy who owns Wrexham.
Ryan Reynolds. Free Guy. No, I see what you mean. I see what you're saying. I mean, HoloLens, I think that's still better than the Google AR.
Well, as it was then.
Yes.
There's been a stalled production, not a stalled, discovery on that now, but we will get to a point. I mean, I was looking at some of the stuff that Lenovo have got for their, for their AR, XR sort of headset, and it's really comfortable to wear. You get. I mean, my 3 monitor setup, I could have 10 monitors. you just keep going. Whatever the graphics card will power. So we are getting to the point where it's actually really comfortable, Gary, with a pair of glasses on, and you're just looking at a wall, and you can see all. I need glasses to look at you on that monitor.
Yeah.
Right.
Take them off for your own sanity.
When I've got those lenses, when I've got the glasses on, certainly from Lenovo's glasses.
Yeah.
I didn't need glasses on. I could read the text, and it was absolutely boggling my mind. It's because it's so close to your eye, and there's some really crazy focal stuff going on. So I was really impressed. It takes a while to reorientate yourself, though, when you've lost your screen. Which wall was I looking at? So you can sit on a train doing your work, and no one can see your screen.
That is pretty cool. So basically, there's just a lens adjustment when you put your glasses on, so you get it nice and sharp. So you don't need your eyeballs to do.
It must be, yeah. It must be.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and I also met. I was down at the Bet Show recently as well. That was fabulous. That's where I saw the guys at Lenovo. We saw some really cool stuff from HP and Sense Labs. That's all I'm going to say. Is the Sense Labs Cintiq, option, like a Cintiq, but better. There is zero heat coming out of it, zero reflections coming off it. It is absolutely. I mean, I got to play on the kit. It was absolutely brilliant.
It's not a tablet, is it? Yeah, it is a tablet. So it's like a Wacom, but it's not a Wacom.
Yeah, it's
in the same way that people have a Hoover, but it's not made by Hoover.
Yeah, and it does work. It does work with HP Anywhere.
Yeah.
To whatever work means.
My question is, are they cheaper than a Wacom?
They're a more affordable option. However, they're not as widespread.
No.
In distribution and things, but they certainly have got some interesting, features that you just don't seem to find on the other devices that are out there.
Okay, so I've just loaded up here a SenseLabs pen display 24. It's a large size digital drawing screen for creative professionals. It was designed to improve productivity, comfort, and workflow. Not a sponsor, by the way.
Unless Sean's listening.
Unless we'd love one each, please. Actually, the thing is that I actually would love one of these. It would really help with my daily work. Designed with feedback and input from industry-leading artists. SenseLabs. Sense, by the way, is XENCE Labs. XENCE Labs. Pen display 24 is the new choice of the creative community. It's shipping within 30 and 60 days. And one of these, which has 2 pens, believe it or not, 2 pens. One of those with an eraser. And with lag-free tracking, apparently, and 8,192 pressure levels, which is standard for one of those across the board so far. As well as a quick keys box, which sits on the side, which you can manipulate and put wherever you want to.
Yeah, it's a dock system, which is very nice.
Yeah, and that, in all honesty, for that size tablet, is probably only beatable by one other tablet maker, and I'm not entirely sure how good they would be in comparison to it. And that's Huion.
If you're an educator wanting to get some tablets into your labs, I think this is going to be something you want to definitely have a look at it.
Yeah, but there's just the tiny pen tablets. The SenseLabs pen tablet, the small one. That one, it's good. You get 2 pens, which I think that's really quite something because
you also get this docking station that can hold 14 of these in it. So it doesn't charge them or anything, but it's a portable station where everything's kept. So certainly for a studio, it's brilliant for wheel in, wheel out. So some really clever stuff going on, and again, I think this is the type of stuff we want to hear that is happening, so that market dominance is not going to be one manufacturer over another, is it?
They are very good, but they've had very little competition for a while. They're now starting to get it. It's a good thing. It's
always a good thing when there's competition. Yeah. I like Blender.
Yeah. In fact, I'm actually probably going to do it as a tutorial on Gen VFX's channel. But I was comparing Blender now to Blender when it was basically Blender 2.0, and comparing what it had then to what it has now in relation to the mainstream software. And what it has now is comparable to what all the other software has, with modelling and the rigging and everything. Whereas back when it first became, some people started to turn their heads, it didn't have any of that. It just suddenly went to a left-hand mouse button press, and the world went, "Oh, what's this? I'm going to meerkat my way in the general direction of this free software and have a look." And now it's really starting to touch so many hearts of students predominantly, and there are getting more places out there that are saying, "Oh yeah, we need you. We need people who can use Blender."
I mean, when I worked with Alias Wavefront back in the in the 90s,
this really has turned into a bit of a when I worked back in the day. Oh blimey!
There wasn't really anything out there that I'm trying to think of the 3D packages. You had Lightwave 3D.
Yeah, still got Lightwave.
XSI. Yes, I saw that. It's still kicking around, which is great.
It is.
There was Soft Image, obviously.
Yes, 3DS. Well, 3D Studio, which became 3ds Max.
Yeah, 3D Studio was around at that time.
Did you say Power Animator?
Well, the big one was Power Animator from Alias Wavefront, and I mean,
Alias.
Well, no, yes. So Power Animator.
Alias first.
Yeah, so Alias was a modelling tool, and Wavefront Technologies was an animation and rendering tool.
It was.
So the two of them worked together quite well. And you could ingest NURBS and render them within.
Remember those?
Non-uniform rational B-splines.
Indeed.
And it was fabulous. And they mashed it together and created what is now Alias Studio. What are we going to, it's kind of like where, I'm not even sure where that thread was going, to be honest.
I think the point you were making
trip down
was
memory lane, I think I was going.
No. What it was, you were saying, it's like at the time there were a bunch of pieces of software, which, if we're going back to before Maya, obviously, as you were saying, you have, what was it? There was 3ds Max, and there was Lightwave, and there was which were the PC ones, and then you outside of that, everything else basically ran on an IRIX, and that was essentially Alias Wavefront and Explore, TDI Explore, which was owned by Alias Softimage, and then TDI Explorer that was owned by Wavefront, and then Discrete had Softimage.
Yeah, Discrete.
And that was it.
Wow.
Just those three. And because of the fact they were on the big machines, everyone thought they had to have the big machine ones. And then slowly but surely it started to realise that the little ones... In fact, prime example here, actually, is, and I know I'm going to use it because it's still the only frame of reference I've got for it, is Lost in Space. Because Lost in Space, every single scene from that film was done on IRIX workstations because it was being used. It was done on TDI Explorer, it was done in Power Animator, different houses using different software. We were sharing artwork.
RenderMan being used anywhere in it?
I'm not entirely sure at that point.
I mean, this is where SohoNet was born.
Yes, it was. But here's the thing: the big fight sequence at the beginning,
done in Lightwave.
It was done in Lightwave, and it was done on PCs.
Lightwave was big on space things,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the biggest coups that we had at SGI when Alias Wavefront Power Animator was in its prime was the Voyager spaceship coming out of the rings of Saturn.
Yeah. And
that was all done. And up to that point, Lightwave had dominated the space scene with Babylon 5. And
was that Lightwave? Was it Lightwave?
I believe it was, yeah.
I thought that was Video Toaster, wasn't it?
It was done on the Amiga. Yeah, so Ron Thornton did it. And Ron Thornton was Lightwave.
Was he? Right, okay. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, I'm just on Lightwave 3D's website, and it says in the 1990s were a sort of the Wild West period in visual effects. You're not kidding.
No word of a lie. Absolutely 100% correct.
If you ever were using Power Animator at that time and then switched to Maya, you would have been introduced to Mel, the animatable cowboy. And in the early part of the decade, computer graphics were novel, making headlines and turning heads for groundbreaking feature film sequences such as liquid metal scenes in shapeshifting T1000, which we know was Power Animator, and the VR sequence in Lawnmower Man. Many had grand visions. Ron Thornton is one of those visionaries who embraced CGI in its infancy and in the entertainment industry and devised workflows where none existed to introduce computer graphics to the broadcast world, starting with the sci-fi series Babylon 5.
Interestingly, in the updated version of Battlestar Galactica, they used Lightwave.
Yeah, I mean, we used Lightwave when we were at Revolution Software doing Broken Sword 3. Lightwave was used to create all the Radiance maps.
Oh right, yeah.
So we would like bake the lighting directly to the point meshes, so that then a Radiance map was created that was very small that could then be inloaded into the game engine, and then you didn't have to actually have light maps as they currently are, which is a black and white image or a HDRI image. So that was an interesting 10 hours where you pressed go and you just hoped that all your pipeline was set up and none of the file references were missing, and at the end of the 10th hour it would say failed to compile. I think that only ever happened to me once, actually. I think that was the one and only time it happened, and I learnt my lesson very, very well at that point.
I've just found, by the way, just as we do, we'll stop soon, I promise, because it's getting late. But I've just found on Wikipedia is that in January 2019, Lightwave 2019 introduced a new integration with tools with Unreal Engine, animatable mesh sculpting and painting and layout, new UV mapping and UDIM tools in Modeler, improved film box exchange, shading model customization tools, new shape primitives, open VDB creation, shading rendering enhancements, and workflow UI improvements. And to me, the only thing I read there which made me just go, is new integration tools with Unreal Engine. It's actually got the only live bridging tool between it and Unreal. Everything else, you have to sort of like send something and press a button to get it sent to it. It's actually a live connection between the two, which I didn't realise until recently. And I think that's heavily impressive and possibly going to do them quite a bit of business if they keep it going.
Well, I will be looking forward to FMX and finding out tons of new cool stuff that's happening out there.
Yes, I wish I was there with you. I've been there before, as I said. I think it was 2018. I think it was 2018, and I absolutely bloody loved it. It was great.
Well, I think we should mark the calendar and say next year you need to clear some space in the diary for FMX.
I am going to find that easier to do. Am I not?
Yes, you are.
I am. I'm gonna put this out there officially now. I am very soon to be leaving my current employer and going back, possibly temporarily to freelancing, possibly full time to freelancing. Not entirely sure. There's a lot of things which are banding around, but I've worked on and off, and I'm sure I'll end up going back to doing some work for them with Space Digital for kind of like 13 years now. The last 3 years have been full time, and I just sort of like suddenly decided one day I just need a change. Not a massive one. I just wanted a bit of a change, and then I realised that actually it meant that I wouldn't be in the office with a bunch of really lovely people, and a lovely office as well in Media City. And it's going to be a hell of a wrench, if I'm brutally honest with myself, not being in there every day.
Not dissimilar to how it was for me when I left the Donny College crew.
Exactly. But I'm the kind of person who doesn't leave touch. I don't like losing touch with people.
No, we drag you on the podcast.
Yes, that's true. Yes, we do. I don't really like losing contact with people. I have lost contact with people over the years, and that's never been easy. So I'm going to be venturing out into the world of freelance for a while, and if anyone's got any work, I'll be available. No, that's not the point. Yes, there's lots of things. There's stuff with you, some of the stuff with you that's very important. It is.
Yes. Well, I think it's time to start teasing this out as well, and we ought to maybe do more of an in-depth podcast on the state of work experience within education.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's a big bugbear for both of us.
We do have some ideas now, and these things need some fuel. They need some people power.
Yes.
And they need some opportunities. So, if anybody's listening that wants to learn more about it, I've talked to a few colleges and universities, and every time I talk to them about the concept of the idea, it's kind of like, sign us up now.
Yes.
The problem is the vehicle's not ready, and it's. I genuinely believe it's a scalable platform that could go and give meaningful work experience opportunities for up to 15,000 students in further education.
Exactly.
Right there. In any media-orientated courses that they are on, which would be phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. When you take two old guys who love a good ramble and a good moan, and then they suddenly start putting their heads together, and they start saying, well, if they just did this...
Yeah, that seems logical.
Why doesn't anyone do this?
Why is no one doing that?
Why is no one doing this?
The irony is, Gary, that somebody's already done it.
I know.
It's been done twice, apparently. And no one's connected it to this that's a need, which I think is phenomenal. And, this would involve students actually getting credits on a production. Not all of them. I mean, putting 15,000 people's names on the credit would probably be a little bit of a stretch, but there would be a website where they could actually look themselves up and see the hours that they spent on the project. But those that are actually successful in the final release of the productions, they would have their name on the credits, rolling credit, traditional stuff, which is fantastic, IMDb listings.
Yeah. I mean, imagine having your name on the credits of a short film or something like that.
Short film,
yeah. Short film,
absolutely.
Before you finished your degree.
Before you've even gone to university. Yeah. And there is a space for university. Yeah, there is a space for university students as well. We've actually concepted. Obviously, trying to give feedback to 15,000 students would be probably, even AI would struggle with it at the moment. You wouldn't have any good fingers anyway. But we do believe that there's a sort of a tiering system of where students can get involved, and some of them will get involved in the content creation, and some will get involved in the management of the production.
Yeah.
And that is such valuable work experience that's needed, to actually hone the skills of communication and actually how you deliver positive feedback.
Yeah.
Even if the feedback is not positive, but you've got to be able to give it a positive twist.
You've got to get people, as we've said before, and this is, for me, this is part of it, is there's a lot of people who come into the industry who don't know about the industry.
Mm-hmm. And this would be the biggest opening your eyes to the actual pipeline.
Yeah, because we will be involved in it, and we will be treating you as if you're a grown up.
Well, yeah, you're doing some work.
And you're gonna, because if you can't deal with it as a grown up, then you're gonna find it very difficult. And that's the thing. It's, you know, it's sometimes any job can be brutal. Any job, feedback can be hard.
Yeah, anybody from T levels that want to get involved, let us know. Give us a shout. Because we think that this can actually probably solve a few of the T level questions that have cropped up about work experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So yeah.
But I think you're right. We need to do more than tease this at some point.
Yeah, what a strange churning we've had tonight. We've gone all the way through AI and computers taking our jobs to suddenly we're hopefully creating work experience and meaningful things for the next generation of these. Yeah, well,
we're just waiting for 15,000 robot AIs to come and do the work for us.
Yeah, or one really good one.
One really good one. Yeah, because one really good one would save so much time.
I'm not sure what we'd do about the gender assignment of that one really good one if it's AI, because to be honest, it'll be definitely binary, surely. Well, it'll be binary, won't it? With zeros and ones.
Oh, you smart ass. I was going to say what we really need is to just a replacement for me. So in the words of the mice, the Magrathian mice in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, all we'll have to do is replace it with a simple brain that says who, what, and where's the tea. To which my response would be what? To which their response would be, you see what we mean? Oh yeah,
exactly. It's brilliant.
It
is brilliant. So we this has been an impromptu churning. We'd hoped to have had a guest from Ed.
Doesn't matter. The thing is, we will have one again very soon.
We will. And
so I'm gonna tap up that sound guy. I think that'll be interesting.
Okay, so we know if you're a student and you're doing sound and you offered, we're coming. And we've never met you.
I'm tapping up the sound guy, John.
Get the Paul to edit this for us.
What we do think though is, and we've been discussing this for probably a couple of months now, is that it's fantastic to have a Graphters podcast where it's two old individuals like ourselves bringing in other old individuals that have been in the industry for a long time.
Yes, because that was generally the main idea, I think.
Yeah, we're evolving. 2.0 as a series, I think, has made us realise that we probably actually need to start speaking directly to people that are actually about to set out on and ask those questions. What do you want from it all?
Yeah, and then scare them stupid so they run away and never come into it. Let's hope we don't do that. I know.
I think if they have got the stones to get on the podcast, there is no way that they will be, they'll be running away from anything. It'll be probably. No,
that's true. Actually, that's a good point. On that point, actually. Oh.
One final thing. Just one last thing. I was going to say about Bet. The Bet show this year. You'd have probably been excused if you thought it was an esports conference, because I think every single technology stand had some form of esports on there. British esports were there in mass. There was a lot of good stuff getting the information out about what is esports. Here's my, I would say my allayed worries. One of the things that I'm kind of concerned about is the amount of expenditure probably being pushed out on esports labs and getting esports up and running and things like that, in relation to it interfering with content creation courses. I think it's a subject we probably need to actually get on a podcast and have a good data mine into it and look at what it's going to be. But esports courses are fantastic, and they have completely changed the conceptual way that you look at disadvantaged, and by disadvantaged I mean students that don't fit the norm of education. They don't fit into anything that is the norm of education, and they want to be, they want to be part of the games industry, but on the playing end of it, the event end of it, shall we say. which I think is great. And you know, we know that there's some big competitions out there that generate some big prize pools and generating students that are going off to university and then becoming content creators, games makers. Don't disrupt that pipeline, because it's already hard enough to get those people into the industry as it is. That's kind of where my worries are. And you know, we need to make sure that we egg box those so that they're very well protected. In the words of Lee, you want to make games or do you want to play games? They are two different things. So that was my last thought, my last ramble of the night.
No, it's everyone. I love a good ramble,
and that's what this has been about. This has been a little journey into our grey matter.
Just that statement, literal in its own right, scares the crap out of what they're going to find in my head.
Well, if you go skydiving without a parachute, you know what they'll find in your head? Your shoes.
That's only if you hit the ground.
whichever way you land, it's going to be your shoes.
Yeah, that's yeah. Oh dear.
Not sure that'll make the cut, but if it does, wow, that could be the intro right there. Well, it's been absolutely lovely, Gary, catching up with you.
It's always a pleasure, John. One of these days we're going to do this without the podcast. Actually, we do, if we're honest.
We are. I think we are going. We're before we move into season 3, we must make sure that we have IRL'd.
Well, we'll IRL with our better halves. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we'll do an IRL with better halves.
That'd be good.
And I know that they don't listen to this podcast. That's great.
No, I don't think. I think we'll be able to survive another day then if they don't listen to this. Right, I've got to go. I've got to go to bed. I've got to get up at silly o'clock.
Good night from me then, Gary.
Good night from me as well, John. Listen, take care of yourself and take care of everyone else, and we'll speak to you all soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
About you.
This work is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International License. Any opinions stated during the course of this podcast belong purely to myself and to John, and are based at the time that we record this. The theme music is My Everything by DJ Quads. If you like that, and I'm sure you probably did, there is a lot more of his great stuff which you can find at soundcloud.com/DJ Quads, or his music is also promoted by www.free-stock-music.com.